Glad you can join us again out there.
This is our Thursday noon group. I don't know. We never really came up with a name for it, but
yeah, I guess maybe in hindsight we could have named it like
the Sean Show.
There's the Sean Show, or we could have had it on Tuesday. We could have called it Technology Tuesday.
Yeah, we could have.
Yeah, but
we got the Kevin Show on Monday and the Sean Show's on Thursday. So.
Hindsight is 2020. Yeah.
So today we're going to have James from Kustom Cane on here talking about his business and how all that works. Well, Kustom Canes is something that I ran across, it's probably been at least 5 years ago. I remember seeing, I think it was, and it might have been on a podcast that I heard about it. And so James is on here today, and he can tell us about how that got started and what he does. And
hey guys, thank you so much for having me with your group today. And yeah, my name is James Boehm. I'm with Kustom Cane, and I'm excited to share with you about Kustom Cane and how it started and kind of what has developed through the years with Kustom Cane and some of our initiatives. So, and then I would be glad to take any of your questions. So I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been blind for 10 years. I lost my sight in 2010, and it was a sudden due to head trauma. And so went through a big transition of having an automotive restyling business from 1995 up to then, and then trying to figure out what was new and what was my next chapter in life going to be? What was it going to look like? But regardless of that, when I first lost my sight in 2010, one of the things I realized is that, well, I'm going to need a cane. So I'm going to order a cane. So I wasn't familiar with canes or, knew anyone blind yet, because I just lost my sight. So, and of course, I didn't know how to use technology, didn't even know what JAWS was yet. So that's how new I was. And so I had my father Google canes, and he found one, and I was like, so what kind of choices do they have? And again, I'm a person who was in the automotive restyling industry since 95. So that was 95, 05. So I was 15 years at the time. And so I did a lot of anything you could do to a vehicle, whether it was graphics or striping, chrome accessories, sunroofs, tinting, wood grain, anything you could add, decals, signage, all that kind of stuff. I would, that's what I would do to a vehicle, kind of like Pimp My Ride, if you guys remember that. But so anyway, so I asked my dad, I was like, so what kind of canes do they got? He's like, well, they've got a white cane. I'm like, okay. So he's like, well, we've got a white cane. There's a white cane with a red tip, and here's another white cane. And that was pretty much it. I think he did finally find a black cane, but I was like, that's all? There's no other designs or anything? And he's like, no. So, I got my first white cane, and of course later on I learned more about what the white cane stood for, but I also learned that was the extent of it. And I was like, well, as a person who is in an industry where I worked with people to be able to personalize, to help their vehicles reflect their personality and their style, and to have something unique and something that they, loved the way it looked and appreciated that, I was like, I wish I could. And then it hit me, and I was like, well, I can use the same graphics, the same materials that I use on vehicles, and I'll design my own cane. So I designed a black cane with just a small logo at the top. It was a floor lay, which is an emblem. It's a French emblem. For you guys who are familiar with like the New Orleans Saints, they have this floor lay emblem on their helmets, and you see it a lot in Louisiana and so forth. But anyway, so I designed that on my cane, and I had a little pinstripe at the bottom section, kind of spiraling around, a 1/4-inch pinstripe, just to kind of accent it a little bit. And it was cool. And so not long after that, I went to a school in Smyrna, Tennessee, just south of Nashville, and was telling people about my cane, and they were like, "Oh, well, I want a cane." And this one blind gentleman, he's like, "Well, I have a recording studio, and it would be so cool to have a cane with my company on it, my recording studio name on it, so that way I could advertise." He said, "That'd be a great way to advertise, because I always have my cane with me, Seaberg Studios. Can you put that on the cane?" I was like, "Sure." It's like, "What color would you want it?" He's like, "Well, what about like a navy blue?" I was like, "Sure, I could do that." And he's like, I love music, obviously, and I also play the piano and the organ. He's like, "So just do whatever you think would make it look good." And so I thought about it, and his design ended up being a royal blue cane, and on the, I guess, upper section, the section right below the handle, going vertical, it said Seaberg Studios. And then around it, I accented it with musical notes and clefs, treble clefs, just kind of accenting it in random places, And then the very lower section, I put piano keys, all the white and black piano keys on that very lower section, and he loved it. And so after I did that, another guy there was like, "Well, I love the Tennessee Vols, go orange, bright orange." He's like, "Well, can you make me a Tennessee Vols cane?" I'm like, "Sure." So I ended up making him a Vols cane with the logos, and the checkerboard end zone was on the lower section of the cane, and football accents and stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of how it, and I was like, this is something maybe I could do on the side, because at that point I was coming to the decision that I was going to go to school and go into mental health counseling, into psychology. And so I decided that, hey, this is something I could do on the side. This allows me still to be creative, and this is something that no one else is doing. So that's what I started doing. I put up a website, and it just kind of developed by word of mouth. I went to started going to local conventions, state conventions around Tennessee and surrounding areas, and promote Kustom Cane, and went very well. And we've done a couple of national conventions in the past, and we've sold canes all over the world now, from New England to Jamaica to New Zealand to Japan, Australia, England, Germany, many places, and of course throughout the United States, Canada. So it's been really fun to be able to do that, and just people being able to reflect their style and their personality in a mobility cane, something that's an important part of their life. And so there's lots of great stories that I've had because of that. I want to be able to get some questions from you guys, but what I wanted to also share is, in the midst of that, and so as I began talking with you, so now it's 2010, so I've been doing, being creative and using graphics and striping and so forth now, I guess it's 25 years. So I feel really old. But as I was, Kustom Cane was getting busier, and I was in school. Some of the research I did was psychology. I did research on resources for people with disabilities and people who are blind, and I found that in like China and India, I mean, these are the largest population of blind people in the world, and those are also some of the poorest places in the world, and also places where a lot of stereotypes. These people with disabilities don't have a lot of rights. They have low expectations. Resources are either non-existent, or the few that are available are very expensive. Like, for instance, I found out, like in Africa, most of those countries, a cane can cost anywhere from 120 to 150 US dollars. which is a month's worth of rent or food for a family. So if you kind of figure out what you spent for rent here in the States, imagine a cane costing that much. And so a lot of these folks have never owned a cane. And so it made me think about, a lot of these customers, my customers that I work with, they want a longer cane, or they want a little shorter cane, or they want more of a lightweight cane, or they want a different handle on their cane. And so they have all these other canes, or canes that have worn out, and they're just sitting there under the bed or in the closet or in the attic. And my thought was, well, what would it look like if we were able to get those canes, be able to restore them? So replace the vinyl, replace the elastic, replace the tips if needed, and then, offer some kind of program. If someone donates a cane, we give them like a $15 credit on their order. And then we can restore those canes, develop relationships around the world with schools and other organizations and just people that are in the community that want to help, and send canes to those places. And so that's where our nonprofit kind of partner called the You Cane Give initiative started. And that's what we've been doing. And in 3 years, we've sent over 600 canes to 16 countries. We've also done solar power talking Bibles. We've sent cell phones, slate and styluses, and things like that. So it's came from Kustom Cane. So, and what we do now is all of what, and since Kustom Cane was kind of something I was doing on the side anyways, what my wife and I decided a couple years ago is that we're just going to use everything that we get from Kustom Cane when we sell a cane. We're going to put it towards You Cane Give. So as or if anyone buys a cane from Kustom Cane, the money that we make from that sale, once materials and the cane and all that stuff, you take that out, that goes right to You Cane Give, which means what you're buying, when you buy a cane, you're probably providing a cane for 2 or 3 other people, if not more. So that's really, really cool. And then we've also included a lot of accessories now. I'm a tech gadget guy, so we have like Bluetooth speakers that attach to the cane. We have charms that are tactile, so you can have something more tactile on your cane to distinguish your cane from other people's canes. We have personalized braille charms that we do, and a lot of other charms. We've got a cane finder charm, a Bluetooth cane finder charm. So we've added a lot of cool things as well besides just canes. So it's been a really fun experience. I've been able to meet a lot of great people and hear their stories, and also been given the opportunity to empower other people and put canes into the hands of people who may have never had the opportunity to own one. So that's kind of Kustom Cane in a nutshell. So I guess, does anyone have any questions or anything?
Yeah, so that's really excellent. Thank you for sharing all that. That's really cool what you do.
Thanks.
Yeah, very, very much. Sean and I, we temporarily got disconnected while you were speaking, but when if somebody were to order a cane and wanted it custom, like let's say, for example, I'm kind of a Star Wars nerd. Could you accessorize a cane to make it look like a lightsaber, for example?
Sure, we've done that before. We've had customers, they wanted a cane that looked as close as possible to the Daredevil cane. So we've done stuff like that. I had one customer that she said, I love Star Wars, but I also love Harry Potter. She's like, can you make me a Star Wars Harry Potter cane? And so we did that. We on each section we alternated Star Wars and then Harry Potter graphics.
That's really cool.
So she was tickled about that. I mean, we've we've had some really cool canes that we've done. Like the music cane is really cool. We do a lot of sports themed canes for people who love their favorite sports team. We've done canes for people who have hobbies, or they love their dogs or they love their cats, so they want that on their cane. Had one lady, she wanted her picture of her at her wedding of she and her husband, so we were able to put that full color photo on the upper part of her cane and have like the date, their names, and then the date of their wedding. So that was kind of cool. We've made canes for people for their wedding, with their initials on it, their wedding day on it. So that's kind of cool. One unique one I think that stands out to me is a gentleman from California. And he said, James, he said, I've always told people that my cane is my eyes. So I want a cane with nothing but eyeballs on it. I want all different types of eyeballs. I want blue eyeballs. I want, brown eyeballs. I want cat eyes. I want bloodshot eyes. And so, so I have a graphic designer in the area that helps me sometime for, very unique designs like that one. And so we created this, the design of image of these eyes that overlapped each other, of all these different color eyes and bloodshot eyes and cat eyes. And we had that going all the way down his cane. And then his charm that hung off the cord of his cane was one of those, it wasn't glass, but one of those see-through eyeballs, that it's an eyeball, but inside it, there's water. So the eyeball spins, if that makes sense. So that was his charm. So he has his cane with his eyes, on it. So that was probably one of the most unique ones that we've ever done. But it's cool though. It's kind of fun to be creative and
that is
some ideas that people have. And then the way that works is, we have our website, so people can order a cane, but then they can add in the details that they want. They can request a quote. But the main thing, what we do is we contact the people regardless. And what I do is I have a consultation with them. So I want to make sure people know what the options are, what's available, what we've done in the past, and really make sure that we're designing a cane exactly the way they want it. The right exact graphics. If it's a sports team that, if they have a player's name that they like, or the number. We had one guy, I forgot what team it was. I think it was the Red Sox. He wanted a Red Sox championship cane, baseball. And so he wanted all the names of the players that were on that championship team to be on his cane. And that was kind of a tough one, because there's a lot of players on a baseball team. So that was kind of interesting too. But we're able to be as simple as, a solid color cane. We have over 150 different colors. And then we, of course, then you consider, we can go more detailed as a stripe or certain graphics. We have material like our Chameleon Cane, which actually changes color depending on how the light hits it. So we just have so many different things that we can do to kind of personalize it, make it your own.
Let's open things up for questions. Rebecca, do we have any questions?
Yes, Terry has her hand up. I mean, not Terry, sorry. Tracy.
The one speaking.
Go ahead, Tracy. Sorry about that.
That's fine. I was wondering what I thought canes for the blind had to be white. I thought they had to be like that. This is really cool. I'm glad they don't.
Right. Tracy, right?
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Tracy. That's a good question, and that's a question I get often. And there obviously the white cane is a symbol. It's a law that has been around for a while, that only the blind can have a white cane. That distinguishes a person who's blind from other people with disabilities, right? People with other disabilities can't use a solid white or a white cane with a red tip.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not mean that that's the only color we have to use. That's just a color that is specifically distinct for people who are visually impaired. There's also the white cane law, and every state has a white cane law. and each state's law is written a little differently. And in those laws, in some of them, they'll say, you know, a white cane, but then a lot of times they'll also say a white cane or stick. And then sometimes the law will even say, or they even incorporate people with wheelchairs. And it'll usually the law will incorporate people with guide dog harnesses. And one example, one state, Colorado, says a guide dog with a brown guide dog harness. Well, not every school has a brown guide dog harness. You know, some schools have black, or some people with guide dogs, you know, they order their own harnesses and that are in different colors. Well, it doesn't mean that you're not protected now. Well, you know, you get hit by a car and you're like, well, this harness wasn't brown, so you know.
Yeah.
So you know, but that, I mean, initially it's like a white cane law, so it's like, oh, it has to be white. But as you kind of, you know, dig into it and look into it, you kind of but it's definitely a valid question, you know. And again, it's a new concept. This is not something that has always been available, and so I understand why, you know, why people have that question and wonder about that.
Okay, and then do they have to be do they have to be a, or can they be a foldable cane or a, you know, solid cane? Or you know, so can they be a foldable cane too?
Yes. So probably I would say 90% of the canes that we do are folding canes. We have aluminum folding. We have the graphite folding. We use mostly Ambutech canes. We've had the most success with them and their durability. Ambutech also has a Slimline cane, which is a very lightweight folding cane. I think it's maybe 7 or 8 sections. If for those who are familiar with the NFB canes that are very, very lightweight, the Ambutech Slimline cane is very similar to that because it's very, very thin, folds up very small, so you can fit it in your purse or in your bag. So that one's really, really popular. But we've also done, you know, straight line canes. We've done telescopic canes. The thing with the telescopic canes is because each section folds into another, we can't design any of the sections except for the main exterior section by the handle. And so that gives us some limitations. It can be anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of area that we have that we can design. And because they slide into each other, you know, if we added a layer of vinyl or graphics, you know, when it tries to slide in, it won't push through or go back into the cane. So unless you want a telescopic cane and leave it out, pulled out really all the time, you know? Yeah.
So then do we order, when we order a cane to be decorated, do we purchase a new cane from y'all, or do we have to go get one someplace else and mail it to you?
95% of folks will allow us. We just order the cane because a lot of times we have it in stock already. You know, if people try to order directly from Ambutech or from other places, sometimes it could take a couple weeks. We keep pretty much all the sizes in stock. So usually when you order a cane, we already will have it. And then it just depends on how detailed the design is, because if, let's say you're just say, hey, I want to do just a solid pink cane. Well, that'll be easy. That'll be quick. But if you're doing something, you know, kind of like the eyeball cane, where it's something we're going to have to design and print and so forth, we usually say 2 to 4 weeks for cane orders.
And then for getting our canes that we already have that are kind of banged up and stuff, do we just, is there address on your website for mailing them to you?
There should be a address on there, but you know, we also have our email and then phone number, so we can always give you that information that way also. But it should be up there. We're going to redesign our website just because we've added so many accessories and stuff since then, and more colors. So it's going to go through an overhaul. We have a Facebook page, Kustom Cane, Kustom with a K, Cane with a C. and it's Cane is singular. And we also put a lot of pictures and our specials and ideas and stuff on that Facebook page as well. I want to mention to you guys before I forget, one thing that we also came out with that we only have, and again, I got this idea from the auto industry, is there was this clear protective film that we would install in high-end vehicles like Lexus or Porsche, high-end vehicles where we would protect the front end of the vehicle, the bumper or the hood, from getting chipped up, you know, from rock chips or stained from, you know, bugs and guts and all that stuff. And my idea was, well, why couldn't I not put that on canes? Because they get beat up after a while.
Yes, they
And so
do.
we came up with what's called Kane Shield. And so what we do on every cane, we put the Kane Shield protectant on it. And we've had clients that have called and ordered more tips, you know, 5-6 years later, and their cane still looks practically new.
Wow.
And they just need tips, so,
Wow.
which is kind of cool. But back to what you had mentioned about sending your own cane. You know, sometimes there folks are like, I really like the cane I have. You know, it's a style handle that I don't think they make anymore. And so we can do that. And what we do is we, you know, if it needs certain sections restored, we will restore them, remove the sections that are beat up, and replace those sections, and then
I just meant for
and then
donating
design it.
for y'all to fix
yeah,
up
and
and
for
send off.
donating.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, we provide that. And then we also will send you, we have a pre-made shipping label that already has the free matter for the blind logo on there. So all you got to do is tape that doc, print it off, stick it on your box, and it's already addressed and everything. And all you got to do is just hand it to your post office attendant.
Okay. And what is your website?
The website is kustomcane.com. Again, it's custom with a K, cane with a C, and it's singular.
Okay. All right. And you have a phone number and email address on your website too?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And I can give it to you also, but it's 901-483-1515. I don't know if you guys record this or not, but I just thought I'd give it to you. Again, it's 901-483-1515. But we're always putting that information on our Facebook page, and it's on the website.
901-413-483.
And then 1515. 1515.
Okay.
And our slogan is, why be plain, go custom cane.
Yeah, all the information will be, we send out an email at the end of the week that has a recap of our stuff. Also, all of our videos and recordings go on YouTube. So
cool. Nice.
We'll send you a link to this. You can share it with you know, use it any way you want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. That's awesome. I appreciate you guys.
What about handles? Have you ever tried doing like custom handles on canes?
You know, it's a good question. I can purchase different handles. I haven't. So Ambutech usually comes with the black golf grip handle. If you do the Slimline, it comes with a kind of memory foam handle. Ambutech comes also with 4 colors. It's green, blue, pink, orange, and they're really the bright, and I think green. They're the really bright colors. So that, you know, if someone wants one of those colors, we can get that. They also have wood handled canes. I think it's walnut is what they use. So we can get those as well. I haven't really found, as far as, you know, I've had folks ask, what about like covering it with leather or something like that? And I've experimented a little bit, but have not really found a way of doing that in a way that's durable and that's going to last. So that's something I haven't done. We do have like a cardinal red handle, which Ambutech doesn't have, that I can get, but the golf grip handles, sometimes you can find custom golf for golf clubs.
Right.
And what I can do is order those, and then I can switch out those handles to what a person wants.
I'm sorry, I think there's a question in the chat. Is there a question in the chat, Rebecca?
Yes. Liz asks, do you know the laws in each state so that we are identified as blind or low vision and the reflective read or something was probably supposed to be on them?
So the question is, do I know the laws for each state?
Yes.
So going back to that, the white cane law, so pretty much every state has a white cane law. Of course, that's 50 states. So, but we have consulted with attorneys to verify that what is, what we're doing is not anything that conflicts with what the purpose of the law is, which is to protect people with disabilities as pedestrians. And that's not only people with canes, but with wheelchairs, with walking sticks, with guide dogs. And so we have reviewed all of those laws as to if any of those wordings and those laws have changed in the last couple of years. That I don't know, but yeah, we have looked at all of those. Ambutech is another company, as we mentioned, that they also offer canes in different colors as well. I think they only do maybe about 12 or 15, maybe a little bit more than that. So they do it as well. So it's not, but if it's something you want to verify, it doesn't hurt to do a Google search for your law in your state. And if you have any questions about it, you can feel free to reach out to us and we can try to help clarify it for you. But you'll notice most of the laws you'll see they'll mention white cane, but then they'll say or stick, or some will say predominantly white or a stick. So it just, every state words it a little differently. But what you have to do is just, understand what is the purpose of the law. Right. Does that mean just because, your cane's a little different,
So would it be fair to say it's more about the spirit of the law than it is the letter of the law?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing that some folks have said, well, people won't be able to tell that I'm blind because my cane's not white. And just something that I, think about is that, when I was sighted for 30 years, if I saw someone with a cane swinging it left and right, they must be blind. I never looked at the color. Right. I never looked at the color of their cane. It's like, oh, they're playing around because the cane's blue. But it's pretty obvious. But what we have found actually is that because it's something that's unique and that people notice it, it actually draws attention. So people actually notice it more. So if anything else, it doesn't hide or detract from a person being visually impaired. It actually is more noticeable. And a lot of the material that we use as well is reflective material. And so just because, we have designed black canes, well, our black is reflective material, kind of like the sign material, like the white on some canes. Our black is reflective. So if you have a cane that is just standard white, and let's say you have a cane that it doesn't have reflective material, but it's white, at nighttime, our black cane would be more visible than a standard white cane because our material is reflective. So we have that available too, because there are some folks that they do night travel and they're like, well, I want to make sure that my cane is visible. And so we can definitely use reflective material in our canes as well.
What about have you done anything with like guide dog harnesses? You might have mentioned that, and me and Kevin might have missed that part.
No. Good question. I've had a few folks ask about that. We've done some like charm accessories as far as the braille tactile charms that people can attach to the harness. But as far as like striping or different adding colors, I've played with a couple ideas, but I haven't found something that that I think that looks good, that I found that looks good yet, and that's durable. So it's something that I've been playing with, but we have not gotten into yet.
I used to know of someone who was blind years ago, and they said that one of their challenges when they were in a group of people using their cane, the people wouldn't get out of their way, and they commented, "Wouldn't it be nice if the cane had a horn on it, like they could put a button in, and it would like a car horn would go off, and everyone would turn to."
Yes. What's interesting
attention.
that you say that, because Kustom Cane has an accessory called the Moses Mobility Bell. And what it does
would you
is
say
parts
that again? What was
the
it called?
Moses Mobility Bell, and it attaches right below the handle of the cane. It has a little handle that you flick, kind of like a bicycle bell. And it has people part, like I said, part like the Red Sea, and that's how we came up with the Moses Mobility Bell.
Right.
And it was so funny because we went to Kenya last year with the You Cane Give initiative to deliver canes, and so I brought some goodies and stuff, and I brought some mobility bells, just thought I would to give out. But I found that they loved it, and I mean, everyone's like, "Do you have any more of those mobility Moses bells?" And I'm like, "No, I've given them all out. I had like 10 of them." And what it is like in Kenya, in Nairobi, in these big cities, I mean, they're just huge crowds, and just it's very loud. There's people just standing. You know, I dealt with it going to college. You know, people would kind of all congregate, and you would try to get through the crowd, and you're whacking people's ankles, and they don't see you coming. And so I came up with this idea of this Moses Mobility Bell. And these folks in Kenya, they're like, "Well, you know, we would love that. So that way people would see us coming." And so I've actually got a video on our You Cane Give YouTube channel of a gentleman talking about how much he loves this Moses Mobility Bell.
Wow.
And and I've talked to him since, and like, "Yeah, it's awesome when we, you know, I'm walking through the streets and there's a huge crowd in front of me, I'll just start ringing my bell." And he said, "They get out of my way. It is so cool."
Yeah, look, I think we have a couple of hands raised.
Sure.
Maybe we have some questions.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. We have 2 hands raised right now. Liz, go ahead.
Hey, Liz.
Hey, okay. Dallas-Fort Worth is like a highly populated area, but it's not walkability conscious. Where I live, there's like no buses, no sidewalks, not much for walking, but I have to walk since I can't drive.
Sure.
People don't pay attention to my white cane with the orange, even half the time when they're in their cars, because they're so distracted. So
Yeah.
what, I mean, I know the orange reflective, because that's, I think, required in Texas. I'm not sure. But what would you suggest for people in cars that, run blind people over?
It's not a United States issue. I mean, it's a worldwide issue. People in cars don't always pay attention. When we were in Kenya, you've got a lot of people that don't even have canes, and the few that do. And the stories that I heard brought tears to my eyes, because they told me that there are families that were blind, and they try to cross the street, and some of them don't even have canes, and so they try to line themselves up with the road. They listen for traffic. They try to cross quickly, and then here comes a car, not paying attention. But these people don't have a cane either that identifies to the driver that they can't see them, and so they're getting hit and hurt and killed. And it happens all the time. And so, of course, here, most of us have canes, and we're still dealing with that issue of people getting hit. So, it's, I think maybe part of it is I don't know, trying to bring awareness. How can we get out in the community and try to bring awareness that, you know, people need to be alert. I mean, it's dangerous for people who can see. You know, when I was sighted, I mean, you go through a parking lot, you can see, and you can get hit by a vehicle because people just don't pay attention. They don't look out.
Right.
And so, you know, like I said, we've used reflective material. Some of our colors that really stand out, I think, have actually been more helpful. We have charms that have lights on them that, you know, that flash,
Yeah.
you know, or strobe. And I've had some folks that do, you know, night travel and stuff. They feel that's been helpful for them. So yeah, I mean, that's a tough question. But it's definitely something that people all over the world are dealing with.
Right. Right.
You almost need some kind of like LED lights or something on, like, down the cane or something, maybe for nighttime travel.
Yeah.
Right.
They used to have, I don't know if Ambutex told it, but there used to be a night light. They called it the night walker tip. And it was a
Yes,
tip
I've
that
heard
you
of
could
that.
twist, and it had a sensor when it would notice it was dark, and it would light up. But they discontinued it. But I think partly what it was after a while, it wasn't really weatherproof, and, you know, you're tapping on it, so it eventually loses its seal and cracks or breaks or stuff like that. So I've been on a lookout to see if they ever come out with another one, because I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
Yeah,
But there are
up from
lights
the
that you can
tip.
buy. But there are lights that you can buy that you can attach to the cord of your cane to try to be more visible. But yeah,
Great.
it's
Well,
just a tough thing.
we got any other questions, Rebecca? Thanks, Liz.
Thank you, Liz.
Yes, Tracy.
Uh-huh.
Question. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
My question was the same that Sean had asked, and that was about harnesses and stuff for
Uh-huh.
guide dogs. And my guide dog was pretty good about telling people to get out of the way, because she would come up behind them and then she would lick the back of their leg, and that
Oh,
would
yeah.
startle them and they would jump out of the way. And one
Yeah.
time she went by a lady in church, and she was a little old lady just walking, and so Amber just very easily just kind of licked her leg, and she kind of went, "Oh my!" And then she said, you know, she said, "Just for a second," she said, "I thought it was a man."
Oh, wow. Well, maybe that'll be our next cane. Will be a cane licking
cane.
a licking cane. You know. I don't know. That might be trouble. Sounds like trouble. I don't know.
It did.
But yeah.
You could be onto something there.
That could be. Yeah.
Or maybe something that kind of squirts the person in the back of the leg. Right
There
about.
you go.
Yeah, have part of your cane full of water.
Into the cane.
Water
Yeah.
gun.
Water gun cane.
You
Yeah,
could walk
there you
through your lawn while watering it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Too funny.
Yeah, I like the. In fact, you had texted me about the Chameleon Canes.
Yes.
You got three different ones, right?
Right. So we have one that it changes from green to blue to purple, depending on how the light hits it. And then we have one that is more of a blue to green color. And then we have one that is, we call it the copper chameleon, because it's goes from like a copper to gold to kind of a burgundy. And so those are the three chameleon styles that we have. Those are the three that change color.
All right. Well, we'll talk more about it after the meeting, but I'm down for that copper one. That's the one I want.
Nice.
thought, but that's one I'm going to go with. And I have a almost brand new. It's a graphite Ambutech, and I'll send that in to you. So
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it. And like I said, we give, you'll get a $15 credit on your order. Plus, again, whatever you buy, part of that, whatever is left after costs and expenses goes to helping other blind people. So, you know, you're doing something for yourself, but then you're helping a lot of other people as well, which is a cool thing.
And then my wife Mindy was asking if, like, I don't know, kind of girly canes, like, I guess. You
Oh yeah.
Pink, but I'm
Could you bedazzle them? In other words.
Yeah, we've done rhinestones, and you know, we found that we can't do the bigger rhinestones that kind of stick up just because you've got a rounded surface. So, and then, you know, they can easily get caught in something or whatever. But we have some kind of glittery designs, different glitter colors that have a lot of glitter and sparkle in them. And we have some, you know, that look like rhinestones that we can put on to kind of sparkle it up and design it. So yeah, we've definitely done that before.
That's great.
Cool.
That is cool. Hey, we'll take a few more questions. Anybody's got one, or if there's anything in the chat box, Rebecca, and then we'll give out James's information and all. And like I said, it'll be in the recap email. And thanks a lot for coming and talking to us today.
I've learned a lot today myself. This is really cool.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys making time for us.
Liz has her hand up. Go ahead, Liz.
Hi, I was just thinking, teens and young adults are very vain about not wanting to be recognized as blind, but cool colored ones, that could be a target market.
Yes,
they might like those.
Yes, and so we have actually worked with some of the, for those who are familiar with the NFB Bell Academy, we've worked with a few of them to where we send materials to them, or if they're in Tennessee, we've gone to the Bell Academies, and where they'll take a time where they allow the kids to design their own cane. So we'll give them the stripes and the decals. We'll have hundreds of different decals, from flowers to Star Wars to, we had one kid, he was 7. He's like, well, I love ham and eggs and I like basketball. So he found some bacon decals and some eggs decals, and he found basketballs. And so he designed his cane with basketballs and eggs and bacon, which was pretty funny.
Cool.
But we had a young kid who was 6. His mom called and she's like, you know, he's growing. He doesn't really want to use this cane, but he loves storms. He's like, can you make us a storm cane? I was like, sure. So I talked to the young kid on the phone and got him excited. We made a cane that had lightning strikes going down it. Found images of Doppler radar that had, like, where it showed like the storm and the greens and the blues and the pinks, you know, and we put that on the cane. And then he's like, well, I also want National Weather Service warning decal on there. So we put that on there and the kid loved it. You know, we had a lady in England who she's like, I know I have to use my cane, but I'm just embarrassed to use it. And I'm like, well, you know, what can we do for you to, you know, to feel more comfortable in using it? And so we did a pink handled cane with a matching pink material that had a lot of sparkle. I mean, it was really, really sparkly, glittery. And she emailed us a few months later and she said, I take my cane wherever I go. She said, thank you so much. I'm proud to use my cane. And now I've just learned to embrace my cane and not be embarrassed by it, you know? So yeah, I think it is a great way for kids, you know, that, or just even adults. They're like, I don't want to use my cane. I don't want people to see me with my cane. Well, if we can make it look like something that they love, whether it's a hobby or a sports team or something, you know, that may be a way of developing that openness to use their cane more often.
Definitely.
So absolutely.
Certainly.
Right, because yeah, my daughter works for Louisiana Association for the Blind as an O&M, and I know she works in a couple of school districts, and I know they have ordered canes, designed canes, and that's when I first learned that
Nice.
you can actually have a design on your cane.
Yeah,
Because I was old school and thought it had to be white with the red on it.
sure.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so the kids in the elementary through high school, they would get them fancy canes so that they would use them.
Yeah, they love doing that. Kids love, being creative and doing that. They had so much fun. Every time I've done that, the kids just love it.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
Thanks, Liz.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll go ahead and end today. We really grateful for James for being here, and thanks for everybody for listening.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
James' website is kustomcane.com. So that's custom with a K, KUSTOMCANE.com.
And you're on Facebook, correct?
Yes. Same name for Facebook.
Facebook and all that. And we, of course, we're on YouTube. If you do a search for Lighthouse FW or go to youtube.com/Lighthouse F as in Frank, W, you can reach our page. That's where all of our videos are. James, we started this in March because of the Corona. We all started working from home, and
right.
I think we've done like 60 or 70 different videos now.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great that you guys are doing that. It's, helps people just still feel connected and still able to share those resources and ideas and, being supportive of one another. So that's awesome that you guys are doing that. That's great.